Alright, y'all, the NBA draft has come and it has gone, and honestly, a lot of the teams made some pretty good moves. There were very few, what I would call bonehead errors that we usually see out of these NBA GMs and front offices. So, applauds to each and every NBA team. But with that being said, there were a few teams that I want to highlight for going above and beyond expectations, as there are just a few teams who really hit this draft on the hammer in terms of draft picks and draft day trades. One of these teams were the Philadelphia 76ers, headlined by new GM Daryl Morey, and ultimately the Sixers, they've actually made some progression, and Daryl Morey has stepped in. He's taken the challenge of trying to build a successful team around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. There were some ties to James Harden maybe coming to the Sixers, but those came and went. And, Morey focused on the draft and some other deals, and so far he's doing a great job. So let's get into what the Sixers did during this draft day. Prior to the first overall pick even being announced by Adam Silver, the Sixers got on the phone and made a trade deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder, in which the Sixers finally got rid of that god-awful Al Horford contract, and with him they also sent a future first-round pick along with the 34th overall pick, which ended up being Theo Maledon. They also included the rights to Vasily Micic, and if I mispronounced that, my apologies, but they traded all those pieces to the Oklahoma City Thunder for recently acquired Danny Green and Terrence Ferguson. Obviously, the main headline in this piece is the dumping of that Al Horford contract. It's just going to simply free up so much more space for the 76ers to actually be able to maneuver and make moves as this free agency is up and coming quick. They also add Danny Green, who, although you might not have seen it much during the playoffs, Danny Green is still a tremendous shooter and just overall 3-and-D threat, and he's been doing it for years now. He might slowly be, coming out of his prime at this point in his career. He just played the last season at 32 years old, I want to say. So, he might not be able to perform as well as he once did. But again, he still plays a great 3-and-D role, still a deadly three-point shooter, and hopefully he can bounce back after the rough playoff performance. But the Thunder also gave up Terrence Ferguson in this deal. Now, Ferguson might not be seeing the court as much in Philadelphia, but himself is still a young, raw, athletic defender. The shot's still not quite there with him, but if he can get the shot figured out, he could also be a great asset for the 76ers to have. Morey and the Sixers also made another move later in the draft where they sent Josh Richardson and the 36th pick, which ended up being Tyler Bay. They sent both those guys to Dallas for Seth Curry in return. Now, this was another great trade. I like to call it one of the rare win-win trades off the bat that the league has seen in recent years, as Josh Richardson just for some reason did not perform well at all in his first year with Philadelphia. He just looked slow and sluggish and just was not getting enough threes up, wasn't making enough threes either, and overall just didn't seem like a great fit for the Sixers. So they decided to ship him and a pick for Seth Curry, who is already one of the best three-point shooters the league has ever seen. He's currently, fun fact, second in league history in terms of three-point percentage, only behind Steve Kerr. And this past season, he shot 45% from three, so he's going to be an absolutely deadly marksman for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and the rest of the Sixers offense. Another issue that the Sixers faced this past season was just simply the fact that they were not shooting a lot of threes as a team. They ranked 22nd in the league in three-point attempts, so again, Seth Curry will come right in and immediately bump those numbers up and help the Sixers produce more and just better and more efficiently on offense. Now, getting into the actual draft picks that the Sixers made, with the 21st selection, they drafted Tyreese Maxiell, who, pre-draft, he was one of the more volatile picks. Some people had them in the top 10 of their picks on their boards, while others had them going in the late first. Personally, for me, I think the Sixers might have been a little bit surprised to see that Maxiell was still on the board at 21, but either way, Sixers are getting a great three-level scorer. Tyreese Maxiell excels in the pick and roll. He's also a very good on-ball defender. All these things will be great for the Sixers, and even if he doesn't see starting caliber minutes right away, most draft picks won't. Maxey could still be a great scorer off the bench and be able to lead that second unit, have the ball in his hands, and be able to perform with the ball in his hands, leading the second unit, or he could also play off ball if he plays with guys like Ben Simmons in the starters unit. Overall, I was a really big fan of the Maxey pick for the Sixers. I was a little bit jealous that the Celtics didn't snag him at 14, but that's for another video. If I even do make a video on that topic, I don't know if I will, but the Sixers didn't have another pick until 49th, where they selected Isaiah Joe, another guard, but he is more of a spot-up shooter type of specialist. He can also play some, good enough team defense. Probably won't be seeing the floor too much for the Sixers this season. Probably will see a lot of time in the G League. But again, he could just be another spot-up shooter type talent if he's ever needed in the rotation due to injuries or other absences from the players. Pretty much, just a spot-up shooter. Probably won't be seeing too much minutes. They picked him later. We'll be seeing the G League. And then at 58th, the Sixers selected Paul Reed, who, like Isaiah Joe, will probably be spending most of his time in the G League. But Paul Reed is a forward who is a good rim protector, good rebounder. Again, can provide some rotational minutes here and there if there are injuries or other absences. But again, probably will be spending most of his time in the G League. The best thing going for those last two picks that the Sixers made, they both have two first names, always a crowd pleaser, so at least they got that going for them, even if they don't see a whole lot of minutes for the Philadelphia 76ers this season. But overall, looking at all the additions and subtractions that the Sixers have made, even before free agency has even started, Daryl Morey has them on the right track to being a better team overall. It was clear to everyone that the Sixers were in need of actual shooting and not just guys that could shoot. They needed specialists out there to surround Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and they've done just that. They brought on Danny Green, they've brought on Seth Curry, they've even brought on Tyreese Maxiell, who all three of those guys can shoot the ball well off a spot up and catch and shoots. Even a few of them, Seth Curry can create some of his own shots. Tyreese Maxiell, maybe not right away since he is a rookie, he's going to have to adjust, but eventually, probably by the end of the season, he'll also be able to create some shots for himself. All of these are things that the Sixers have been missing out on over these past couple of seasons, and as a Boston fan, it is a little bit scary to see the Sixers finally having some competence in their front office and Daryl Morey. And although I hope that they don't get too good so that we cannot beat them, I do wish for the Sixers to find some success. I am a big fan of Ben Simmons. I hope he finds some success, whether it's in Philadelphia or somewhere else. I think he's a gifted player. He deserves to have talent around him. Same thing for Joel Embiid. He's one of the best, if not the best, centers in the league. And again, they just deserve to actually get a chance to make a deep playoff run. And I'm hoping that Morey can bring this opportunity to them. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what the Sixers do in free agency now that they actually have some cap space to go after some guys after freeing up that, again, just absolutely abysmal Al Horford deal. But anyway, that will be it for this video. Drop some comments down below on what you think about this first phase in the Daryl Morey era in Philly. And while you're down there, think about hitting the like button. And as always, most importantly, thank you for watching.